Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why some women walk in a room and instantly everyone feels their presence, not because of how they look, but because of who they are? That energy, that confidence, that grace, it's not an accident, it's a choice. Being a high value woman is not about money, status, or appearance. It's about becoming the kind of person who commands respect, inspires love, and carries herself with dignity in every situation. Tonight, I want to show you how every woman can rise to that level, and it all begins within. Self worth is the foundation upon which everything else is built, and without it, nothing else truly matters. When a woman understands her worth, she no longer begs for validation, she no longer chases for scraps of attention, and she no longer tolerates situations that diminish her. Self worth is not arrogance. It is an inner knowing that you are valuable simply because you exist. It means you no longer measure yourself by the opinions of others, by the mistakes of your past, or by the standards that society places upon you. Instead, you look within and recognize that you carry unique qualities, strengths, and a spirit that cannot be replaced. A high value woman does not wait for someone to tell her she is special. She wakes up every day knowing it. This kind of inner strength changes how she walks, how she speaks, and how she allows others to treat her. When you carry self-worth, you stop accepting less than you deserve, not out of pride, but because you finally realize that your time, your heart, and your energy are sacred. And when you truly see yourself as valuable, you naturally draw in people opportunities and relationships that reflect that same level of respect. Without self-worth, you will always settle, but with self-worth, you rise above settling and begin to live as the woman you were always meant to be. Emotional intelligence is one of the most powerful qualities a woman can develop because it governs the way she navigates her inner world and the world around her. Life will always present challenges, disagreements, misunderstandings, and moments that test our patience, but the difference between someone who reacts impulsively and someone who responds wisely is the ability to manage emotions. A high-value woman does not let anger, jealousy, or insecurity dictate her behavior. She pauses, reflects, and chooses her words and actions with intention. This does not mean she suppresses her feelings or pretends to be unaffected. It means she learns to understand what she feels, why she feels it, and how to express it in a way that is empowering rather than destructive. When a woman cultivates emotional intelligence, she no longer gets pulled into unnecessary drama or conflict because she has mastered the art of composure. People respect her because she does not waste her energy on proving a point or winning an argument. Instead, she focuses on clarity, peace, and resolution. Emotional intelligence also allows her to understand others deeply. She listens with empathy, she notices what is not said, and she responds to people in ways that make them feel seen and valued. This ability to stay grounded in the storm, to remain graceful when others lose control, makes her presence magnetic and her influence lasting. A woman with emotional intelligence is not easily manipulated, nor is she easily broken, because she knows how to return to her center, no matter what life throws her way. This inner stability is what elevates her from ordinary to extraordinary, and it is one of the reasons she is admired and respected wherever she goes. Boundaries are one of the clearest reflections of self-respect, and for a woman who desires to be high value, they are non-negotiable. When you set boundaries, you are not being harsh or unkind. You are simply communicating that your time, your energy, and your heart are precious and cannot be carelessly handled. Too many times women give, and give until they are drained, believing that love or approval will come from self-sacrifice. But what actually happens is the opposite. When you fail to set boundaries, people take advantage. They begin to expect more than they should, and you end up resentful and exhausted. A high-value woman understands that saying no is just as powerful as saying yes. She knows she does not have to explain or justify every decision because her boundaries are her way of honoring herself. Boundaries teach people how to treat you. Without them, you leave the door open for disrespect, manipulation, and imbalance. And boundaries are not only for others, they are also for yourself. It is about holding yourself accountable for the standards you say you want to live by. If you promise yourself you will no longer settle for toxic relationships, then keeping that boundary means walking away when red flags appear, no matter how tempting it is to stay. If you tell yourself that your peace matters, then keeping that boundary means not engaging in gossip, negativity, or circles that drain your spirit. A woman with strong boundaries does not fear losing people because she understands that those who are meant for her life will respect the limits she sets. In fact, boundaries make her more respected because people admire the strength it takes to stand firm. And when you learn to honor your own limits, you begin to attract healthier love, deeper friendships, and greater opportunities because the universe responds to the energy you allow. A woman without boundaries is easily controlled, but a woman with boundaries is unshakable. She becomes someone who is valued, not for how much she gives away, but for the strength and dignity she carries within. Grace over drama is one of the rarest, yet most powerful traits a woman can embody because it reflects maturity, wisdom, and inner peace. Life is filled with situations that tempt us to react harshly. Someone insults you, betrays you, misunderstands you, or even tests your patience deliberately. In those moments, it is easy to raise your voice, to engage in arguments, or to allow your emotions to dictate your actions. But a high-value woman chooses differently. She understands that not every situation requires her energy, not every comment deserves her response, and not every battle is worth fighting. Instead of lowering herself into chaos, she rises above it with calmness and dignity. Grace does not mean weakness. It is the strength to remain composed when everything around you tries to pull you into disorder. When you carry grace, you disarm negativity without even raising your voice. You show people that your peace cannot be stolen, your worth cannot be shaken, and your character cannot be dragged into the mud of drama. This does not mean you allow people to disrespect you. It means you correct them with confidence, but without losing your temper, because you know that self-control is the highest form of power. Grace also means choosing forgiveness, not because others always deserve it, because you refuse to let bitterness poison your spirit. It means walking away from toxic arguments with your head held high, knowing that silence often speaks louder than shouting. When you embody grace, people notice something different about you. They may not always understand it, but they cannot ignore it. You become the woman who carries light in dark places, who inspires respect even from those who do not like her, and who turns challenges into lessons rather than battles. A graceful woman is not easily provoked because she has mastered her emotions and understands that her energy is sacred. And it is this ability to remain elegant in the face of chaos that makes her unforgettable, magnetic, and deeply respected wherever she goes. Continuous growth is the heartbeat of a high-value woman because she understands that life is a journey of becoming, not a destination to arrive at. She never settles into the illusion that she has learned enough, achieved enough, or grown enough. Instead, she embraces every day as an opportunity to become wiser, stronger, and more aligned with her true self. Growth for her is not limited to career or education. It extends to emotional growth, spiritual depth, and personal transformation. She invests in herself by reading, learning new skills, practicing self-reflection, and surrounding herself with people who challenge her to rise higher. She welcomes feedback instead of fearing it because she knows that constructive criticism can reveal blind spots she could never see on her own. She does not view failure as an end, but as a lesson that sharpens her character and prepares her for greater opportunities. A high-value woman understands that stagnation is dangerous because when you stop growing, you start shrinking, and when you stop learning, you stop evolving. She takes time to nourish her body, mind, and soul because she knows all three are connected in creating the best version of herself. Growth also requires courage, the courage to let go of old patterns, outdated beliefs, and relationships that no longer serve her. She is willing to step out of her comfort zone to take risks and to embrace the unknown because she trusts that every stretch leads to a stronger, wiser version of herself. What makes her powerful is that she does not grow just for herself, but also to uplift those around her. Her transformation becomes an inspiration, her wisdom becomes guidance, and her discipline becomes a standard others admire. A woman committed to continuous growth does not chase perfection, she chases progress. She measures her life not by comparison to others, but by who she was yesterday versus who she is today. And it is this relentless pursuit of becoming her best self without losing her authenticity that makes her truly high value. She shines not because she is flawless, but because she is forever evolving into the woman she was destined to be. Feminine energy is one of the most misunderstood yet powerful forces a woman carries, and when she learns to embrace it instead of running from it, she discovers an inner strength that cannot be shaken. The world often teaches women to harden themselves, to compete aggressively, to suppress their softness in order to be taken seriously. But true feminine energy is not weakness. It is a magnetic power that balances strength with grace. A high-value woman understands that her intuition, her nurturing spirit, and her ability to bring calmness and beauty into spaces are not traits to be hidden. They are gifts that uplift everyone around her. She does not need to mirror masculinity to prove her worth. Instead, she honors her natural essence and uses it as a source of influence. Feminine energy is deeply connected to creativity, compassion, and flow. It allows a woman to listen beyond words, to feel the needs of others without them being spoken, and to bring healing where there is tension. It is the reason she can walk into a room and shift the atmosphere simply by her presence, not because she demands attention, but because she radiates warmth and authenticity. A woman who embodies her feminine energy knows how to receive as well as give. She allows herself to be supported, loved, and cherished without guilt because she understands that vulnerability is not a weakness, but a strength that builds deeper connections. She does not fear being soft because she knows softness can move mountains in ways aggression never can. Yet at the same time, her feminine energy does not make her passive. It makes her discerning, strong in her values, and unshakable in her boundaries. She uses her gentleness strategically, never allowing it to be mistaken for naivety, because she understands her worth and protects it fiercely. When a woman fully embraces her feminine energy, she becomes magnetic to opportunities and relationships that match her vibration. People are drawn to her calmness in chaos, to her ability to inspire rather than control, and to her quiet yet undeniable strength. She becomes a source of peace, a place of comfort, and a beacon of inspiration. And perhaps most importantly, she feels at home within herself, no longer trying to be someone she is not, but fully honoring who she was created to be. Feminine energy, when embraced, transforms a woman from simply existing into truly radiating, and that radiance is what makes her unforgettable. Confidence without arrogance is one of the most defining traits of a high-value woman because it creates a presence that is both powerful and approachable. Confidence is not about walking into a room and thinking you are better than everyone else. It is about walking into that room and knowing you do not need to compare yourself to anyone at all. It is the quiet assurance that you are enough just as you are without needing to prove it to anyone. A confident woman does not seek constant validation because her validation comes from within. She trusts her decisions, speaks with clarity, and stands tall in her beliefs, but she does so without belittling others or demanding attention. Her strength lies in her balance. She can celebrate her achievements without arrogance. She can acknowledge her beauty without vanity, and she can hold power without domination. This kind of confidence comes from deep self-awareness. She knows her strengths, but also embraces her flaws, understanding that perfection is an illusion. She does not allow her insecurities to rule her, nor does she try to hide them behind a mask of superiority. Instead, she transforms her imperfections into lessons and uses them as stepping stones toward growth. This honesty with herself makes her authentic, and authenticity is magnetic. People trust her because she does not pretend to be something she is not, and they admire her because she can shine without dimming anyone else's light. Confidence without arrogance also changes the way she handles success and failure. When she wins, she remains grounded, knowing that pride can blind a person if left unchecked. When she fails, she does not collapse under the weight of shame. Instead, she rises stronger, using setbacks as fuel for her journey. Her confidence allows her to walk away from situations that do not serve her, because she knows her worth is not tied to acceptance or approval. She can be kind without being weak, assertive without being harsh, and bold without being reckless. What makes this quality so powerful is that people feel safe in her presence. They are inspired by her strength, but also comforted by her humility. She does not need to shout to be heard or demand to be noticed. Her energy speaks for her. And in a world that often confuses arrogance with confidence, a woman who embodies true, humble assurance stands out effortlessly. She becomes a role model not because she tries to be, but because her very life demonstrates what it means to live with self-respect, dignity, and grace. This is the kind of confidence that lasts, the kind that inspires, and the kind that makes her unforgettable. Healthy relationships are a reflection of the love, respect, and values a woman holds for herself, and for a high-value woman, they are not optional, they are essential. She understands that the people she surrounds herself with influence her mindset, her energy, and even the trajectory of her life. That is why she is intentional about choosing connections that uplift her rather than drain her. She knows that real love, whether in friendships, family bonds, or romantic partnerships, is not about control, dependency, or constant sacrifice. It is about mutual respect, trust, and support. A high-value woman refuses to remain in spaces where she is consistently disrespected, undervalued, or taken for granted because she knows her worth is not up for negotiation. She chooses quality over quantity, preferring a few genuine relationships over a crowd of shallow ones. In healthy relationships, she communicates openly, but she also listens deeply. She understands that love is not only expressed through words, but through actions, consistency, and care. She gives without losing herself, and she receives without guilt, because she knows love should flow both ways. Her relationships are not built on fear of abandonment or desperate attachment, but on freedom, trust, and shared growth. She knows that disagreements will happen, but instead of engaging in toxic patterns of blame or manipulation, she approaches conflicts with maturity, always aiming for resolution rather than destruction. She sets boundaries, not to build walls, but to protect her peace and ensure that love remains balanced and healthy. A high-value woman also understands that the relationships she entertains mirror how she feels about herself. If she allows toxicity, it is a sign that she is neglecting her own value. That is why she constantly evaluates the connections in her life, making sure they align with the woman she is becoming. She is not afraid to let go of relationships that no longer serve her growth, because she knows holding on to the wrong people only delays the right ones from entering. And when she does find the right relationships, she nurtures them with loyalty, compassion, and presence, knowing that true connection requires effort and intention. What makes her relationships powerful is that they are not built on need but on choice. She does not cling to people out of fear of being alone because she is complete within herself first. She chooses to share her life, her time, and her love with those who honor it, and in return, she creates bonds that are strong, fulfilling, and life-giving. A high-value woman knows that she becomes like the company she keeps, and so she carefully curates her circle to reflect the life she envisions for herself. Healthy relationships are not about perfection, but about two imperfect people willing to grow together. And for a woman of value, this kind of love, real, steady, and uplifting, is the only kind she allows into her life.